Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Wednesday morning, the 18th of September. So it's a few days since I've done a recorded video because for the last few days I've been doing daily live streams on various topics. So go and check those out if you're interested in Sebastian Rogers or the Delphi case, or what else have I covered recently? The Madeleine Soto case, Leilani Simon, Michael Freeson. But yesterday I covered Summer Wells because Vinnie Politan from Court TV, as part of his nightly show Vinnie Politan Investigates, did a show on summer. So it gave me the opportunity to go through what Vinnie had said, what his guest said. As a result of that, I started to talk about the footprints. Do you remember the footprints? You've been following the Summer Wells case for any length of time. And someone said that it's only me that talks about the footprints. I can't get over the footprints. I can't move on from the footprints until they are explained as not being summer. In my opinion, based on the totality of the evidence, law enforcement believed that they were Summer's footprints. So I know Cracking Cases, when they made videos, they used to talk about the footprints, but less people talk about Summer now. I mean, I don't talk about Summer very often now because there's nothing new in the case. But if I'm the only person who's championing the evidence that's actually out there, then I'll take it upon myself to do yet another video on the footprints, because I've got numerous videos talking about the footprints and those early days and how those footprints were found and so on, and how important they are. Someone asked me to do a refresher, so here I am. Let's go.
Don't put the word out to him, you say my name again and he'll kill him.
So first of all, let's talk about where the footprints are. This is an area represented by this red circle, and that represents 4.5 square miles. That's what they searched in the first 13 days. So they were doing almost daily press conferences for that time, and then they stopped and they only did very intermittent updates. And we've had precious little from the TBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office since then. They did a small update on the 3-year mark, but precious little. So 4.5 square miles represented as an area, assuming that 110 Ben Hill Road, Summers House, was the centre point, then this is the total of that area. And so it takes you out about not quite 2 miles in each direction. And it just covers S.O. Frank Light's property. So we know from Sheriff Ronnie Lawson that one of the search dogs followed Summer's scent from the top of the hill down to the road. So Dawn Wells says it was down the dog trail. It could be down the driveway. I think Dave Rader from EquiSearch believed it was down the driveway. But whichever way, it was onto Ben Hill Road. All right, so if we go south here and we get to Mary Sexton's land. So this is Ben Hill Road, Simpson Road. Mary Sexton's land's here. Mary Sexton, she's now died. She was a very old lady. But she was the sister of Don Wells' stepdad. Don Wells' stepdad owned 110. When he died in 2007, that was inherited by Donwell's mother. And then finally, when she died, that's how 110 Ben Hill Road came into the possession of the Wells family, of Don Wells and Candice. There was no love lost between Mary Sexton and the Wells, apparently. It was her brother that originally owned that land. Anyhow, that's an aside. The footprints were found on her land. So it's 1 or 2 child-size, barefooted footprints. Okay. One on her land. If we look at this, now this is steep. So this is all the base of the mountain. So it's hilly. And the fact that the footprints were up here leads me to believe, and this is just my opinion, that Summer wouldn't have gone there on her own. So someone else had to be with her. The other set of footprints, so 1 or 2 child-sized, barefooted footprints, was over here on Mr. Phillips' land. Mr. Phillips owned a property with some woodland on Beech Creek Road. This is Beech Creek Road. And the footprints, these are not exact locations. I've just put the pins in on their land. I don't know precisely where the footprints were, but they were in the kind of woodland area of Mr. Phillips' land. He's since sold up and moved out. The footprints on Mr. Phillips' land are about 0.8 miles from 110 Ben Hill Road, so not very far. So if someone walked down Beech Creek Road and then wandered into the woodland here, okay, that's fair enough. Footprints on the ridge that leads me to believe that Summer perhaps had help. Maybe someone was carrying her, either on the shoulders or on horseback even, possibly. Every time I mention the footprints, people say, well, were there no adult footprints there? Well, there were lots of them, because the searchers had already been over this land once before a dog alerted. This is the problem. And there was also people out on horseback looking for Summer. There was lots of tracks. One of the search dogs on the 19th, so 4 days after Summer disappeared, came upon these footprints. So they ran the dog again and they found another set. Now, there's also a couple of scent alerts over here. I can show you the actual evidence in a minute for the footprints on Mr. Phillips' land. But these scent alerts here, we have to just take Fred Hill's word for it. So Fred Hill said that there was a scent alert on his property, so whether that was 207 or 165. Fred Hill, you might not want to believe him, so let's put a question mark on that one. There was also a scent alert near the creek on the Gawley's land, and it was Cam from Fracking Cases who said that that one existed. And Fred Hill actually said a dog hit here, a dog hit down there, pointing towards this area. So there's potentially 4 different scent alerts that we know about. Plus the dog that Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said tracked Summer's scent down to the road. So is it possible Summer went down onto the road, went playing, went around here somewhere? This is reasonably flat. She could have gone here playing in the creek. She could have followed the creek line, possibly, and then someone picked her up and took her this way. Or someone planned it out, because also Cam from Cracking Cases stated that he found the remnants of a camp, not on Mary Sexton's land, I don't believe, but on the land next to it. And again, this is high up on the ridge, and this ridge is higher than the Wells Hill. So if you made a camp here, you couldn't be seen, and you could look into the Wells yard. You have to piece it all together. So what evidence is there that these footprints actually existed? Okay, well, here's one I prepared earlier, because I've done this numerous times. On the 19th of June, so this was the Saturday, Summer went missing on the Tuesday. On the Saturday, that's when they did an all-night search. And this is a slow motion search. Someone on Beech Creek Road filmed this, and you can see people all over the place doing a grid search. I mean, well into the night, like 1 a.m, 2 a.m, they were still out there grid searching this area. The same day that the footprints were found. And Mr. Phillips was posting in Facebook groups in the early days of the case. You know, he got abused, he got hounded, so he took his post down. But there's numerous, I've got loads of these posts that people screenshotted in the early days of the case. And this is from Mr. Phillips. A barefoot child's footprint that the dogs identified her scent in my woods and a neighbour's woods. No other scent or footprints were found. So at that time, just my opinion with nothing else to base it on, but that sounds like she was being carried and was set down to make it through a rough area. You would expect more prints if she was walking. Well, you would if it was muddy. Search crews had been all over my land for several days before the footprint was found, so there was already plenty of adult footprints there. There's also some screenshots of Mr. Phillips talking with the daughter of Mary Sexton, talking about the footprints that were found on each of theirs land. Those footprints happened. They exist. And Dave Rader, talking to police off the cuff, so Dave Rader from Equisearch Midwest, who was out there helping, he got into town on the night of the 19th of June. When he went out searching on the Sunday, the searchers were all talking about this overnight search. And although Dave Rader said he can't say for sure about the truth of the footprints because he wasn't there, he didn't see them, this all-night search happened. There's only one reason why they would do a search in that kind of terrain, grid searching, well into the night. And that was that they truly believed Summer was out there. And the lead that they were following was the footprints. Listen to what Dave Rader said to police off the cuff.
I can tell you the grid pattern that I seen from the instant command from inside and the mapping that they were doing and where they were sending us is that everything in and around that house for I would have to say probably a 2-mile radius around that house was saturated. So I mean, you know, then there was the thought that so that Saturday night that I got into town, which would have been 4 days prior after she went missing, is that somebody said that they found a footprint. Now, I don't know the truth about that, but they had TBI, FBI, they had some of the locals there late at night. I got into town about 11 o'clock, and they were still searching until about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, from what I understand, because they went under the assumption is that, oh hell, maybe if she was abducted, they're seeing all of this go down. They dropped her back off near the woods, and that she was now walking the woods by herself. So then they set up this good perimeter around there and just kind of worked our way more towards the house to create that funnel effect. Okay. And we followed creeks. There wasn't a damn stone unturned. I can't imagine.
It sounds like the initial search was concentrated close to the home, I guess with the belief that either she had wandered off or she was somewhere close. That's basically what you're telling me. I mean, if we analyze what you just said.
Right. So basically what you do in a search scenario is that if the mother, in this case Candace, sits there and says, hey, my daughter walked away, you always go from the point last seen.
Sure.
And you just saturate the piss out of that area. And again, as the investigation goes on, that's when things start to turn. That you may have to shift your search strategy per se to expanding that circle depending on the scenario and the investigation points it leads to.
Interesting, isn't it? That the theory that law enforcement had on the 19th was, oh hell, maybe she was abducted. And because of all the furore and the attention that the case got, they didn't murder her, but they dropped her back off in the woods. It's a very viable theory. So that's why they saturated that area and searched well into the night. Grid searched. I think that will be Mr. Phillips' land. And in Dave Rader's words, they saturated the piss out of that area. They truly believe that Summer was out there. So that footage that someone took, I think they were like here, along here. So someone's driving along Beach Street Road and they were here. And then they'd have searched all through the woods from this furthest point where these footprints were found, and then fanned out to go to the house. Like, all this area. Maybe that second set of footprints maybe was found during that search. I don't know if both of the footprints were found on the same day, but they were definitely there. And all the locals and the news knew about it. Ansley Daniel from WJHL asked a question at the press conference on the Monday, which would have been the 21st. And Leslie Earhart from the TBI was very non-committal. Listen.
Saturday, there was a pretty extensive search into the evening. Can you elaborate on what that tip was and why there was such a large presence for crews to come back out?
Anytime we have information that could potentially lead us to locating someone, we're going to use all resources. Crews were in the area following up on a lead. Unfortunately, some are still missing.
Unfortunately, some are still missing. Well, she's still missing more than 3 years later. All right, well, why don't they want to say that they found footprints or scent alerts out there? Because it's key to their investigation. And we know that every time they come back and do a search, they focus on that area. They focus on that specific area. This is the helicopter flight path from one day when they came back at the end of November. It's the woods in between Mr. Phillips' land, Mary Sexton's land, and a little bit beyond it. That's the helicopter flight path. I truly believe they focused their search on that specific area because they believe Summer was there. But where is she now? Is the question. Was she taken out of that area? Possibly. If she was on her own in that area, wouldn't they have found her that day? They would, wouldn't they? Like the amount of coverage they'd have found her that day. Is it possible she was on her own and wandered off? Yes, it's possible. And she got out of that search area somehow? Yeah. That's absolutely possible. You know, we see time and time again in cases that areas are searched and then the person turns up months later, like deceased, their remains turn up in that area that they concentrated on. We could talk about case after case after case. Bradley Close that we talked about a few days ago. Bryn Hargreaves that I've talked about several times. Little Elijah Vu, who was found in an area that had been searched numerous times just this week. Is it possible Summer's remains are out there and they've been missed by everybody? Yes, absolutely. But it's also very possible that she was taken out of that area. But one thing, in my opinion, rock solid 100%, those footprints exist and they truly believed that they were Summer's footprints. And that's why the concentration on that area was so very strong. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.